Welcome to Corvallis, Oregon, Reser Stadium, home to the Beavers, and you better get used to the sound of chainsaws as the fans here have been ready for this clash since early this morning. Today, a Big Ten clash, and you know when you square off against a conference opponent, the blood boils a little hotter. As we'll see, the Stanford Cardinal taking on the winners of 4 straight, the Oregon State Beavers. For EA Sports, I'm Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, and David Pollack with me. Guys, can't wait to get this started. Stanford about to tee it up to get this one going. Fielded in the end zone. It's Durant. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. Punting on first down. But why? He'll field the punt. He's got great speed. Touchdown, Stanford! The hidden yardage, the big plays, special teams coming through. The return man takes it to the end zone himself, and now he'll give his team the lead.
And your defense made a big stop. You think you're getting the offense, the football back, but how about special teams coming through in a big way to take the lead for you, get some excitement, get some juice back on your side.
Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. He'll start the return inside his 5. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. drive will start from the 19-yard line. This defense happy with how that last play turned out, so they'll decline the penalty. Offense in the sumo set with the big boys. Running back searching for a hole. Into the pile, maybe got one. He stopped at the 21.
You definitely want to commit to the run game. You want to establish the run game. You want the defense to honor it. But if it doesn't work a little later down the road, you might think about airing that puppy out.
Didn't get much on first down. It's 2nd and 9. Catch in the middle. It's Bauer. And they pick up just a few on that completion.
They say tight ends are a quarterback's best friend in the pass game because think about it. The tight end's the guy lined up closest to the quarterback, which means generally those are the easiest throws a quarterback has. You saw it on that play.
Dropping back, it's Murphy. Quickly complete. They'll make the stop about a yard short of the first down. And the offense with no intention to draw the defense off sides. They want to run on 4th down.
Timeout, Oregon State.
And the Beavers decide to punt it away. The last time they punted it went back for 6. Fields the punt and tries to work it the other way. He's brought down, but a really solid effort to pick up every bit of yardage he could on the punt return. Rides the back on the option, the give. This new Big Ten is balanced and deep, and you're not going to get many mulligans. You're going to need to get off to a quick start.
And it's going to be a physical grind ahead. You look at the schedule for these teams, it's brutal. Each and every week, you're going to get tested. So it's important they get off to a really fast start. They've got to come out, take everything they did on the practice field this offseason, and let these guys go play.
Yeah, and you got to let it rip, man, because that's always your first goal, right? We talk about conference championships, winning your conference, and then it gets you to where you need to go. So looking forward to getting conference play kicked off in the Big Ten.
And a missed opportunity on 3rd down as the defense knocks it free, and 4th down is coming up.
3rd and long situations are really hard to convert. The defense knows it's going to be passed. The pass rushers are getting upfield. You're under pressure. You don't have timing. And as a result now, 4th down.
Punt is on its way. Really good job by the coverage team to make the stop, and that's where they'll put it in play. They'll get this drive going from the 17. They'll move the wide receivers. Power football with the run. Turning it on. And it looked as if he might take that one all the way to the house. Just ran out of a little steam, and the defense finally got him.
All right, David, as someone that loves defense and sound defense, how would you evaluate their job fitting them?
To quote the great philosopher Reese Davis, that was very ungood. Defense is about making the ball go where you want it to go. Like guys doing their job and fitting it to the second-level player correctly. That was a clinic tape on what not to do.
That's a good job by the drag route there, understanding its zone coverage. So instead of continuing to run across the field, he settles down into an open spot, making it easy for his quarterback.
The Beavers can play this 2nd down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that.
Nice job by the defense, just being very sound, understanding what they were seeing, and going and getting it. A lot of times these running backs force missed tackles and make you miss and make big plays. This defense did a good job of not letting that happen.
The Beavers really need to keep this drive alive on 3rd down. On the option. Quarterback on the keeper. He's knocked down for a loss of 7.
And the offense on that option play, they're just thinking we're going to use our speed to our advantage, and we're just going to outflank you easily and pick up this first down on 3rd and short. But how about the defense? Everybody staying home. You saw the speed and their ability to get outside and get a stop, now setting up 4th down.
Field goal is good. That'll bring him to within 4. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. He'll bring it out. It's Brown. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. They'll start this drive from the 18-yard line. Brown will throw it. Pulls it in. It's Irvin. He gets across the 25, steered out of bounds at the 26.
Well, the short passing game is a great go-to for any offensive coordinator in the first quarter because it's reliable, but it also allows you to see how the defense is going to react and play. So this can certainly open things up later on.
Stanford with a lot of options here on 2nd and short. Makes a man miss. Knocked down at the 31 after a gain of 5.
On 2nd down defensively, I'm always like, hey, let's get to 3rd down. Really good job by the offense. It's like, nah, we're going to stick this run right down your throat, get the 1st down on 2nd down. We don't need 3rd downs.
Looking to throw on 1st down. Got his man quickly. They get him stopped and out of bounds at the 45-yard line, and the big play has this offense ready to mount a threat.
I love the QB here. He holds it, he holds it, he holds it just long enough to let the receiver run the drag route, and then he puts it out in front of him so he can catch it on the run in stride and then turn upfield to use his speed.
Man, is it nice to be able to hand the football to a guy that can break tackles, that can make something out of nothing. Just, it makes it so much easier on offense. You can hit that big play, the big home run. Just the ability to break tackles can make a back really special.
Now to see if these guys can get back in the game in the 2nd quarter. Offense in a bunch formation.
Single. Here we go.
From the shotgun now, here's an inside give. Drag down, but they'll move the sticks for a 1st down.
Well, obviously the offense went 3 and out on their last drive. They're having a little bit more success here. That was a nice run, and I think that's the key, guys. If they're able to run the football, they're going to be able to stay on the field. And I think that's something you want to think more about if you're the play caller on offense.
Give to the back. They'll finally get him on the ground, but not before he makes it to the 30 and gets a 1st down.
1st down, physicality wins football games. Being able to run the football and create balance. And right here, just choose up another 1st down, gives you another chance to maybe continue to run the football.
And I feel like this guy, too, is...
Time running out, and he goes down at the 34. The pocket broke down, and the quarterback had to take the sack.
Really impressed by this pass rush, Reese. Just guys winning their individual battles one-on-one up front. They're able to get to the quarterback.
Got his man. And he's able to shed 1 tackle and gets a pretty good pickup.
And the offense here dialed up a really good zone read. Give credit to the offensive coordinator. He called the right play at the right time.
The Cardinal come to the line facing 3rd and short. Brown wants to pass. Oh, they really could have used that catch there. Physical pass defense. It brings up a 4th down.
Yeah, and 3rd and short, they choose not to run, throw the football, and I think a lot of that has to do with they know they're in field goal range. They can take the 3 points on the board.
Thought maybe they would consider the field goal here, but the offense is staying out there on 4th down. Now rolling to the left. Hauls it in, the 1st down and more. And he steps out of bounds after a nifty run and picking up a 1st down.
Well, to heck with being conservative, right? I mean, that essentially would have just been a chip shot field goal with where they were on that 4th down, but they decide to go for it, throw it. They're looking for 6. They're going for a touchdown. They are being aggressive.
A first down run on the doorstep. And they can't punch it in with a first down run, and the defense has 1 stop.
There is nowhere to run and nowhere to hide on these situations. You know the physical ground game comes into play inside the 5-yard line, and they match the intensity. Nice job. Everybody flying around to the football, making the tackle for a loss. Nice job by this defense.
And he's all bottled up, and now it's worse. The ball's loose. Defense covering it up and not letting the offense get it back. It's a turnover.
Well, defenses get excited when they see the quarterback in an empty backfield like that. They know, hey, I'm not going to have to beat a running back or a tight end to get there. If I get to him, I might have an opportunity to knock this thing loose, and that's exactly what happened for the defense.
He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage.
Phenomenal job by the defense that time, shutting down the option play. They knew they were going to see this in this game, and all week long in practice, they really focused on this assignment football, making sure the dive, the quarterback, the pitch, all taken away. Nowhere to go with the football that time offensively. The defense coming up with a huge negative play.
And I tell you what, I know it's little when these QBs miss and the ball's not right to them, but man, it makes such a difference with yards after the catch, and in this case, even catching the football. It was just a little bit off, and it just made it a little bit difficult for his wide receiver to try to make the catch.
You make up the game plan and not a lot on the play sheet for this. 3rd and long from inside their own 20. Grabbed over the middle. It's Clemens. He fought his way out to the 16, but it'll be 4th down.
Well, they weren't able to gain a lot of real estate on that last completion deep down in their own end. If anything, if you're looking for a silver lining, I guess the punter maybe has a little bit more room to try to get one off now on 4th.
And the Beavers will line up to punt it away. Return's going to get it up around midfield. He'll be down at the 49-yard line. Plenty of time to work, not any time to waste as they take over here in the final 2 minutes of the half. Wide receiver going in motion. Brown will throw it. Finds his tight end. They'll finally drag him down, but not before he gets into the 40, and it's a 1st down. Stanford quickly to the line. He'll pull it on the read. Makes a stop in the backfield. He'll lose 4.
And I think everybody wants to run the option nowadays, but the problem is, can everybody read it? You got to be able to stick the ball in the belly of the running back, and you have to be able to understand, or I'm pitching it to him. Whatever the read is, you can tell he was a little bit confused, a little bit.
Breaks into the open.
All right, defense. It ain't working, right? They're stringing together several 1st downs here. We're going to need to change this up, find something we can disrupt the quarterback and mess up this offense a little bit. Stanford gets set to snap it on 1st down.
Wants to go up top on 1st down. It's caught. They'll spot the ball at the 12 after that completion. The offense will have to use its 1st timeout of the half.
How many 1st downs is that alone, just on this drive? The defense, they keep this up, they're going to get worn out and continue to have to play more and more guys. They got to do something to change this.
He'll be hauled down just inside the 10 of the 9 as they're trying to turn this into a score.
And what's the closest guy to the football, man? It's those defensive tackles, and those guards and centers have to work together. They got to get those guys and get some movement. They don't on this play, and the big fella eats. Nowhere to go. When you run into him, you usually meet the ground.
Looking downfield, and time is running short. Going for 6. And he can't quite make the connection as he was trying to pay off this red zone opportunity.
And listen, as a quarterback, you're trying to find the matchup, trying to find who's open. I don't know if anybody was open, but that was not a greatly thrown football. I don't know if it was miscommunication, but the ball thrown out of bounds and just on to the next down.
On the run, It's Irvin. And he runs it in for the score. Touchdown, Cardinal.
Man, that was beautiful clock management. Great job by this offense, sustaining the drive, not getting too much in a panic, and finishing the drive with a touchdown with not a lot of time on the clock.
Lining up to tack one more onto that lead. And the extra point makes it 14-3. They march the ball 51 yards for the score. And what a way to finish it with a 9-yard touchdown run. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. And he takes this from inside the 5. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. Just enough time to get off one final play of the half. The give to the left side. Can't get him to the ground. They make the stop, and that is the end of the first half. We played 2 quarters here. Time to go to Kevin Connors in our halftime update. The Beavers will kick it away first, and we'll start the second half. Looks as if the returner will try and field this one. Just never had a chance to shake loose, and he'll be brought down at the 24. They'll get things started on this drive from the 24. Brown wants to pass. Got it in the middle. It's Irvin. At the 45, on his way. They got him free for a big gainer to the 43.
And that's a good lesson for quarterbacks out there. When you're throwing to your running backs, if you get it to them early and they've got some space around them, they can do damage. And that's exactly what happened there. These guys are trained to be great once they have the ball in their hands. He makes people miss. He shows you the speed, and it's a big chunk play in the pass game.
Nothing says my offense stinks like punting on first down. And nobody able to field that punt as it rolls out of bounds. A little bit backed up to start this drive from their own 18-yard line. Starts the drive trying to go up top. And that incomplete pass caused by the big hit on first down, second down coming.
This offense hasn't been able to generate a lot of points in this one. Here in the third quarter, you're seeing the defense and how much pride they take on being physical. It's not just stopping the run. Guys in the back end flying to the football in the air, getting hits on guys, that time on the receiver, knocking it loose.
Backed up now, here's second and long. Looking to fire. He let that thing fly quickly, but he couldn't make the connection.
Well, you can see the frustration on this guy's face. He's one of the best receivers in college football, and they knew coming into this game that he had to get touches, but you can't say enough about how good this defense has been defending him. They've always had an answer, whether it's single coverage, double coverage, man or zone. They have not let him go off, and that's a big reason why they're winning this game.
Can't make the play on the interception, and man, they were looking for their first pick of the game. Instead, it'll be fourth down. Oh, this is a bad shank. Didn't get quite as much as they had hoped out of that one, and the offense will be in business. I think they're going to mark it around the 40-yard line. Tight end now in motion. To the ground with the back. After the pickup of 9, it's 2nd and 1.
It's got to feel good as an offense knowing that early in the drive you can turn around, hand it off, get a push up front, and go get positive yardage.
The Cardinal can be aggressive here on 2nd and short. Leaves it with the back. And he never had a chance. Just stopped cold as soon as he got it.
And if this defense wants to get back in the football game, they've got to match the physicality of this offense. And that's a great start here in the second half. Like coming out, not letting them run the football, being the more physical and more...
Intercepted. Big play stops the drive. Trying to take it back. A dangerous cover man and a dangerous return man after the pick as he gets it all the way to the 44-yard line.
There were a lot of people really excited about what this guy can do. Some were saying he could be an All-American, and he's proving them right. That's already his second interception early in this college football season. Offenses are going to figure it out. They're going to stop throwing this guy's way. You just get in trouble when you try.
And I kind of like how the running back didn't mess around. Like, just get downhill when you see an opening. A lot of times they close so fast, man. Be decisive, stick your foot in the ground, pick up 3 to 4, and we are not going to complain.
After the 3-yard pickup, they come to the line 2nd and 7. Off play action. Quarterback on the move, still looking. Oh, he's got some space. Down to the 26-yard line before they ride him out of bounds, and this defense is on its heels.
And they're going to need a lot more of this to get back in this football game. They're trailing. They're trying to make plays. I like the decision-making of the young man. Don't force the football. You already got to make big plays. The defense knows it, too.
Headed to the end zone, and you'll race it to the house. Touchdown, Beaver! That running back just had a caravan of blockers to take him into the end zone.
There's not very many times at home, Reese, where I'm going to say that everybody watching on their couch could have scored on that play. This is one of them.
And with the extra point, they cut the lead to 14-10. And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Guys, your game is a big one, but so is this battle right now inside the Mountain West. Nevada is down right now, but this young man under center today has shown some moxie. We could see a legend born today in Reno. They're trailing by just 4 to Arizona State. The moment something changes in this Mountain West fight, you will hear about it here. Back to you guys.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. They'll start this drive at the 33-yard line. Motion from the wide receiver. Wide open downfield. Breaks free. Ripping off a huge chunk of yardage, and he's got it just outside the 10 at the 11.
A lot of times when you go to the stat sheet after the game, defenses are going to look at explosive plays. Like, we're taught to be top down, stay deep, don't give up those big plays, make them earn it all the way down the field. Bad job giving up the big play in the passing game.
And that's a really good example of why offensive coordinators script plays. You know the down and distance, and you know which routes can get you to the stick. So there's no wasted time. That coordinator got the play in early to his quarterback, knowing that his players were going to be able to execute.
That is a big win for this defense, as they were right there as soon as he got the ball.
And you got to get locked in the red zone. A lot of defensive coordinators, they'll tell you, we'll give up yards, but we got to understand what we're trying to get accomplished. Great job down here near the goal line.
And the pressure gets him back at the 8-yard line.
How about that from the offense? Second and goal. Everything says you might run the football. They try to throw it, and man, was that unsuccessful. Sitting back in the pocket, just throw the football away. Don't take the sack. Don't go backwards, especially inside the 3-yard line, set up in such good position.
And this defense is bringing the heat. Another sack.
How about the defense coming through when you needed it the most? They got some yards, had some success on this drive. Second and goal, sack. Third and goal, sack. Nice job by the defense, sticking with it, coming through in the clutch.
And this one splits the uprights. The lead now 7 here in the third quarter.
And that's not the way they wanted to end the drive, but nice job being ready and your field goal kicker coming through and putting 3 points on the board.
On the run from inside his own 5. They get him down, and that'll be the final play of the third period. One more period to go to see who can make the winning plays and come home with the victory. They'll go back to work with a first down in the final period. He'll ride his man on the option. Creates a little room. Now they've got even more breathing room out to the 31 and a fresh set of downs.
Well, this is an offense that has a lot of speed, and they have different guys they would love to get the football to in space, and they can find a lot of different ways to do that. I love the idea of going option here and trusting your quarterback to make the right read. If no one accounts for the pitch man, he's going to get it to the outside, and you see the speed on the perimeter. Really clever play call that time by the O coordinator.
And you got to do a better job up front right there. That run was doomed from the get-go. Nowhere to go. The back gets hit as soon as he gets the football. Hard to succeed as a running back when you get the ball and you get clobbered.
The Beavers with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Unloads to the wideout. Caught over the middle. It's Walker. Brought down at the 45 after a 15-yard pickup.
And after giving up that completion, guys, I wonder if the defense is going to decide to stay in zone or maybe mix things up, a little more man coverage, maybe blitz.
Looking to throw, it's Murphy. Here comes the heat. Moves away as he feels pressure. And the quarterback bought a little time, but actually bought a lot of time, but not enough time. And the defense gets to him. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. And the Beavers have put themselves in dire straits after that last play. It's 2nd and a mile. Back to pass. Moving out to the right. That's reeled in. It's Clemens. And just a short, safe pass play. They pick up a few.
You just get the feeling this defense is going to make it hard on them, right? They've got the lead. It's late, and they're going to try to tackle everybody inbounds. Offense is going to have to really work for this and be smart. You got to attack the sidelines. You got to throw first downs. You got to keep this thing moving vertically down the field.
Couldn't quite haul it in. They almost had their first pick here late in the game. The Beavers will bring the punt team onto the field. They may have to pay him overtime. He's punting for the 5th time today. He'll get away another punt. He's been really active today, and no doubt he's going to earn his varsity letter. They'll snap it from the 20 for the opening play of this drive. Give to the running back. Ran through the contact. Ran right through the defender, and now he's still running. That defense got gashed, but they finally get him to the turf at the 47.
Well, the defense didn't blitz. They didn't have everybody in gaps, and the offensive line took advantage at the point of attack, getting some push, opening up a hole, and the offense ripping off a nice run there.
Brown will throw it. Tosses it incomplete. Try to make up for some of that lost ground on 2nd down. The give and tick, 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 tick. There he goes. He works his way inside the 30 down to the 29 and picks up a 1st down.
And that hurts on defense, giving up the 1st on the ground like that. We're in a 1-possession game. You've got all 3 timeouts. I think you got to start burning him here to save some clock.
He's in open space downfield. Got the 1st down and still on his feet.
Wow. 4 plays on this drive by the offense. They already got 3 first downs. We knew they had a lot of playmakers coming into this game, and they're showing that right now. This defense is going to have to make a play at some point here and stop the bleeding.
He pushes his way down to the 4 as they get closer and closer.
And this is a perfect situation. This is a situation, if you asked me to be in before the game, the coaches would have been in heaven. I got the football. I got the lead on their side of the field. Nice gain on 1st down. Same exact script. Do it again. Run the football, run the clock, let that thing tick down. And if we add points, we add points.
Operating in the red zone here on 2nd down.
Here we go.
From the gun, running back on the move. And he gets it back to the 4-yard line and no farther.
And nowhere to run on that play at all.
About all you can say is do better. But that's the problem. Are they able to do better?
And that's why you keep trying things, right? Keep trying to get on the perimeter, running up the middle, try to...
Touchdown, Stanford! They wanted to finish, and that they did on that possession. They extend this lead, and it looks as if they are going to make it 2 wins in a row.
And, you know, late in the games, offenses sometimes get conservative when they got the lead and they got the ball. I love this offense. They were aggressive. They got another score added to the lead. Now you're trying to salt this game away.
And the extra point is true, and they have a 2-touchdown lead, up 14 in the 4th. So it's an 80-yard drive. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. On the move from inside his 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. They'll start this drive from the 18-yard line. Might be changing the route. To throw, it's Murphy. Shoots it to the left. And that pass incomplete. The defense got a hand on it.
Got to give this defense a lot of credit because even down to the last seconds of this football game, we're seeing outstanding effort. QB taking a shot down the middle of the field. There's a defender swatting it away. They have had this quarterback's number all game long, and that's why they're winning this game.
A deep throw as the clock winds down. And the incomplete pass taking a shot on 2nd down, and they'll be left with a 3rd down.
One of the biggest reasons today why this offense is losing in the game is they haven't been able to get it going throwing the football. This guy still has not thrown a touchdown pass. They thought...
He lobs one high down the left side. Oh, he dropped it. That deep ball was right on the money. You just have to make that catch. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. Down by multiple possessions, they can't come up empty on this drive in the fourth quarter. They'll go for it on fourth down. This one's complete. That'll be good enough for a first down. They'll mark it at the 30. Use the play fake, now to throw. He wants a big play here late. And that will be incomplete. Man, that would have been a big hitter if they could have done it, but second down coming.
Man, what a great play by the defender there. Big-time players make big plays in big games, and against an outstanding wide receiver one-on-one, he's able to knock the ball away and force an incompletion late in the game with everything on the line.
Behind the chains now on second and long. Misfired on the last play. They'll go back to the air. Here's a throw downfield late. What a spectacular grab there as they try to finish this game with a little something to feel good about. The offense gets a quick timeout at this point. Every second is precious. They say it's still a game of field position, and that last one just flipped this baby. They've got it 1st and 10 in the red zone. Going for it all. Falls incomplete, and he did everything perfectly except catch the football. Second down coming. Couldn't make the connection last time. Let's see if they throw it again.
And the defense is playing with a sense of urgency right now. Obviously, they're playing with the lead. They know this offense needs to find a way to generate points, expecting a shot on that.
And that one is picked off in the end zone. And he's wrapped up after a solid return on the pick.
And that's kind of what this offense has done all day. They have struggled. They haven't gotten a rhythm. They haven't found a way to get points on the scoreboard. And late in this game, when your defense and your team really needed it the most, Palmer, they throw the INT.
And it's a microcosm, too, of just how dominant the defense has been. They've always been a step ahead. They've been the more physical side, and they've been making plays on the back end. That interception should seal this thing.
They go to the ground. And they get him on the ground, and that's going to do it. Ball game is over. A strong, methodical, workmanlike effort from this team. No frills, just get the job done and get the win.
I love when you describe my teams like that. Just consistent, methodical, strong. I don't have to do things special every single week. All I'm supposed to do is get the W, and that's what they did.
And this is why practice is so important, guys. You can tell that this team was locked in way back earlier in the week. They watched the film. They got good looks in practice. They knew what to anticipate. They knew what looks they were going to see. And when those looks presented themselves, boy, oh boy, did they ever take advantage.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.